Hello, well, this time we're going to examine Don't Think Twice, It's Alright, one of the greatest breakup songs of all time, and an example of something Dylan excels at, so he has many great breakup songs. No surprise then that he has one so early in his career. I would say this is a short, sweet, and sad. It's under 4 minutes, kind of here and gone really before you know it, but that seems to give it a fleeting quality that matches the air of the song itself. There's different kinds of breakup songs. Some of his are very bitter. This is not one of them. The attitude of the song can be summed up in the title. It's a great title, and that will give you an indication, right? It's, I would say, about acceptance and regret at the same time in an equal measure, which makes it pretty unique. So it's not about recriminations, and it's not about, begging her to come back. If anything, the situation in the song is that his lover wants him back, or he presumes that she does, and he's kind of cutting that off, preempting it. So even within the subgenre of breakup songs, think how rare that is. Let's do the anatomy of the song a little bit. It's 4 verses, 8 lines each, so obviously 32 total lines. And the rhyming scheme is always the same, at least until the final verse, and that classic touch that we've talked about on other songs. So you always have the first and third line rhyming, and the second and fourth, right? So that's pretty typical, kind of A, B, A, B. And then you'll get 3 lines in a row that use the same sound. And that driving home of a certain sound is really effective. So, when your rooster crows at the break of dawn, look out your window and I'll be gone. You're the reason I'm traveling on. But don't think twice, it's all right. So you can see how it kind of builds up to this crescendo right before the refrain, and it does that every time. The words are simple and folksy. It's kind of a country song in terms of setting. So there's a rooster crowing and he's just wandering down the road. You get the sense of it being a lonesome country road, although the song was about a relationship that was taking place in the city, the big city, New York. And even the rooster, according to Rolling Stone magazine, was one that lived near Dylan and Susie Rodlow, the subject of the song, in New York City. And the song, for the most part, addresses the woman, especially at the start of every verse. That changes with the last one, which, again, plays into what we've talked about before, about how the end of the song can be indicated in subtle ways. There's not a bridge to let you know, okay, here comes the final verse. Instead, all of a sudden, he's talking about himself and what he's going to do, instead of earlier in the song and all of the 3 previous verses where he's telling her what she should, shouldn't do, could, couldn't do, but how none of it will have any effect on the fact that he's leaving. You're looking at Ramblin' Jack Elliott to Dylan's right in this picture, and he's the subject of the next picture. And I have him on here, well, 1, he was an influence on Bob Dylan. 2, he loves this song, tells a really funny story about it, which I'm not going to give away. And I got to see him live once, which was a real thrill. That's when I heard the story that he tells about it. And he played the most achingly beautiful version I've ever heard. However, he suffers, unfortunately, from emphysema, can still sing incredibly well, but he does, and this was the only song in his set that got interrupted and stopped by a coughing fit. Still incredibly moving, Jack. His picking on the guitar is exquisite, and that's part of the original twos. Dylan's playing is very good, he just accompanies himself on the guitar. It's got this very persistent quality, I guess you'd call it, and it kind of drives the song. Harmonica comes in. God, we haven't talked about his harmonica playing, have we, on any of these videos? So he ends the song with it, and it's just that classic early Dylan sound. The singing, the acoustic guitar, and then the flourishes on the harmonica. I think what's special about his use of the harmonica is the way he uses it to kind of punctuate a song. It almost gives you a chance to reflect on what just happened, and really whatever emotion he builds up during the song is kind of released during those flourishes at the end, I think. I know he's not the only person to ever end a song with a harmonica solo, of course, but that's just a quality that it seems to have, and you can hear that throughout his career. Let's talk about the lyrics a little bit, mandatory. So, as I mentioned, the words are sparse, they're folksy, they're simple, but they're really powerful. Take a look at the start here. Not the start of the song, the start of the selection that I'm showing here, I should point out. So anyway, there's a lot more going on in those first 4 lines than I think is kind of readily apparent. It ain't no use in turning on your light, babe, the light I never knowed. And it ain't no use in turning on your light, babe, I'm on the dark side of the road. He doesn't always sing with the exact same wording as in the official lyrics, but I post the official lyrics anyway. That light can be, one, it contrasts with the dark, obviously, and there's a literal version, turning on the light. She won't see him anyway because he's on the dark side of the road. But there's clearly a metaphorical aspect to it, and what I think is really powerful is that it can be interpreted in more than one way. So there's something about her that he never connected to, like they never really got to know each other in a certain way, and you see that hinted at later in the song. We never did too much talking anyway. So that's the light he never knew, and it's too late now. And this is a concept about relationships that appears elsewhere in his lyrics, just not really connecting, in Shooting Star. You were trying to break into another world, a world I never knew. And then just further down in this song, It ain't no use in calling out my name, gal, like you never did before, like you never did. Well, that's kind of an interesting statement considering they were together. And we talked about the 3 lines that precede the refrain every time, well, in the second verse on the screen here, I think they're the heart of the song. I'm thinking and a wondering all the way down the road. I once loved a woman, a child, I am told. I gave her my heart, but she wanted my soul. Beautiful lyrics, but you can see also how there's that concept that she never really reached out all the way to him, and he never really got to know her. That's not quite as noticeable as what's embedded in the title and most of the song. This idea of resignation, right? Don't think twice, it's all right. It's a done deal. This is a lukewarm feeling that he's walking away with, it seems. If anything, it's almost a little bit callous. He's detached from this, and she is apparently going through, a much tougher version of it than he is. Let's look at the last set of 3 again, and it really drives that point home as well. I ain't saying you treated me unkind. You could have done better, but I don't mind. You just kinda wasted my precious time. You see that attitude that I'm talking about there. It even seems to add an element of sarcasm that I think exists throughout the song, and you might not notice. I think it's there. It's definitely no proving it. Lastly, on a technical note, remember I talked about how the first and third lines of every verse rhyme. This is the only time they don't here in the final verse of the song. So once again, we have a very subtle way of wrapping things up. But that's kind of robbing from the heart of the song. The basic takeaway is that this is a beautiful, short, and powerful love/breakup song. See you next time.